The crushing 33-13 victory over the Denver Broncos at Mile High Stadium not only ended an uncomfortable drought that had lasted since last December, but also laid bare a truth that many fans refused to see in Green Bay's training sessions. The tense silence that filled the sideline midway through the first quarter when rookie Brandon Cece collapsed after a kickoff return was a brutal reminder of how fragile a franchise's house of cards can be in the NFL. The hearts of every fan in the stands and every analyst watching the broadcast sank along with him. Watching a rising young star struggle to clear the field and disappear into the shadows of the blue medical tent is the absolute nightmare for a position so lacking in depth on the main roster. The held breath, the cold sweat on Matt LaFleur's forehead, and the deathly silence as the clock ticked down seemed to announce the premature end of a season before it had even truly begun. However, fate had a very different script in store than the tragedy that had been predicted. Relief came in firm, conscious steps as Cece emerged from the tent, testing his knee with quick cuts on the turf and smiling with his teammates, dissipating the dark cloud of despair and transforming a moment of absolute panic into a thrilling display of pure resilience that completely changed the mood of the entire sideline and re-energized the spirits of a whole group determined to prove their worth in this preseason full of high expectations. Suddenly, the apprehension evaporated, giving way to a contagious euphoria that seemed to echo throughout the locker room and immediately spread across social media, where fans began flooding the comments with the traditional slogans of unconditional support. But while the defense breathed a sigh of relief at the cornerback's passing scare, the true masterpiece of the night was about to unfold with surgical precision that defied any prior training camp logic. As you try to absorb the emotional impact of seeing a serious injury narrowly avoided, you have to stop and stare at the magnetic figure of Trey Smack, a kicker who simply decided that perfection would be his only acceptable signature at this professional level. Forget any doubts or trauma left by the franchise's erratic performances in the recent past. What we are witnessing before our very eyes is an outrageously flawless display from a kicker who enters the field carrying the serene confidence of a seasoned veteran. 4 field goal kicks converted with absolute ease, including 59 and 51-yard bombs that soared through the Denver skies without the slightest hesitation or deviation, the ball passing perfectly through the forks with the naturalness of someone taking a goal kick without a goalie. The fans no longer need to bite their nails, close their eyes, or pray to ancient deities during field goals. The era of kicker-phobic anxiety seems to have definitively ended, paving the way for a deafening tranquility that places Green Bay's special teams at a level of excellence few would have dared to predict just a few weeks ago. While Smack's ball still cut through the icy Denver sky and the crowd began to wonder if we were witnessing a new historical icon at the position, the relentless clock of the game pushed us directly into the next chapter of this electrifying journey, where the gears of the offense began to grind under the relentless scrutiny of those who demand elite performance in every snap contested. If, on one hand, calm reigned supreme in the highly capable legs of our kicker, on the other hand, the ground trench of the backfield lit a red alert signal that demanded immediate attention and profound questions about the future of the number 2 running back position. Let's look coldly at Marshawn Lloyd's cold and unforgiving numbers in the last 2 weeks of intense testing and official preparation games. 12 paltry carries for a meager 32 yards, resulting in a pathetic average of only 2.6 yards per attempt, an absolutely unacceptable rate for someone who entered training camp carrying the weight of gigantic expectations and the responsibility of taking on the leading role right behind the undisputed starter. Even finding the end zone on a well-designed Texas route, the overall balance of his performances reveals an alarming deficiency in game vision, an irritating tendency to try to force plays to the sideline instead of relying on front blockers and allowing the natural hole in the line to open up before accelerating towards the promised land. The patience of the coaching staff and specialized analysts is being tested to the limit, especially when less heralded names enter the field and demonstrate a surgical objectivity that leaves Lloyd's performance in an extremely uncomfortable situation, forcing the team to rethink every piece of the offensive puzzle before the internal dispute turns into utter chaos behind the scenes. While the mystery surrounding the starting backfield position still hung over the coaching staff and fueled heated debates on social media, fate offered a new glimmer of hope in the fierce competition for the coveted 6th wide receiver spot on the main roster, proving that in the NFL, one person's misfortune can be another's ultimate blessing. If you thought Isaiah Neyor had thrown in the towel after losing playing time in recent workouts and seeing direct rivals emerge, prepare to rethink every concept, because the young talent showed impressive grit by seizing the golden opportunity that fell into his lap when J. Mike had to leave the field prematurely due to concussion protocol. 3 lightning-fast receptions for 47 yards, highlighting a spectacular full-extension catch on a deep-banked route executed with surgical precision by one of the quarterbacks, revealed an athlete gifted with a rare combination of physical stature, explosive vertical speed, and reliable hands that simply beg for more snaps on the field. The fierce competition for that last spot on the wide receiver core remains wide open and intense, turning every practice and snap of the preseason into a true trial by fire where no one has a guaranteed place and where mental resilience is worth pure gold for those who dream of wearing green and gold in week 1 of the regular season. But while the offensive unit struggled to find stability amidst so many twists and turns in the passing game, it was in the defensive trenches that the true spectacle of young talent and brutal versatility unfolded with an intensity capable of thrilling even the most skeptical of sports analysts. Let's turn our immediate attention to the overwhelming evolution of Chris McClellan, the defensive tackle chosen with heavy draft capital investment in the 3rd round of the recent draft, who transformed the preseason promise into a dominant reality by leading absolutely all the team's defensive statistics on opponents' turf. He had 6 total tackles and a criminal penetration behind the line of scrimmage that resulted in a loss of yards, a suffocating physical impact that was noticeable in practically every decisive play, where pressure through the middle imploded the opponent's pocket and forced egregious errors from the opposing quarterback. With each relentless attack McClellan justifies with interest and adjustments, the monumental effort the front office made to negotiate and move up in the draft to secure his services, proving that his high success rate in closed workouts was not a mere illusion, but rather the harbinger of a meteoric rise that promises to shield the core of our defense against any ground attack from the conference's most feared opponents. While the echo of McClellan's relentless pressure still reverberated throughout the defensive line, another, far less highly regarded star decided to steal the show and write a fairy tale worthy of the most improbable annals of the Green Bay franchise's recent history. It's impossible to analyze the triumph without delving into the stellar performance of Anthony Campbell, a player who entered the league as an undrafted free agent and who, in a matter of weeks, went from a complete unknown in the trenches to one of the most fascinating and talked about realities of the entire training camp. With 3 masterful pass deflections that frustrated the opponent's aerial attempts, 3 solid tackles, plus a relentless drive for a tackle with a loss of yards, and a spectacular sack that brought the entire stadium down, the number 60 delivered a simply legendary display that put the coaching staff on high alert regarding his true value to the final roster. Every play Campbell makes seems to carry the weight of someone who has absolutely nothing to lose and everything to gain, injecting a massive dose of competitive energy that raises the performance ceiling of the entire defensive group and forces management to rethink established hierarchies. The intensity achieved by these young talents in the trenches reveals an unexpected depth that could be the absolute difference in the long and grueling marathon of the regular season that is fast approaching, preparing the ground for the definitive decisions that will define the team's future.